Live music venues are struggling, but the game isn't over. Today, we're diving into real solutions that can help venues stay open and even thrive through this tough market. In the last video, we talked about the current state of the touring industry, right? And how ticket sales have declined for the smaller venues, specifically 500 and under, but it's really been for 2,000 capacity and under as well. And it's really the A-list artists and that are playing stadiums and arenas that are really thriving, right? And for them, revenue is up because people are paying more than ever on ticket prices. So today we're going to talk about some solutions because at the end of that video, we talked about how Q4 is looking to be a really strong quarter this year, and venues will bounce back. Touring will bounce back in the smaller scale, and those developing artists that are playing 500 around 500 capacity venues, right? So let's look at some solutions for venues, what you can do to weather the storm and to even just operate better and smarter as a venue, right? So the margins are very for doing shows, right? Unless you're making money on ancillary revenue like food and beverage, service fees, sponsorships. That's really the three main areas where Live Nation reports they make most of their money. Even they say they make 0 to 3% off of ticket sales. So if you're depending on ticket sales, that is already a losing strategy. You should not depend on ticket sales. Notice how I also didn't say merch cuts in there, right? So merch cuts also, if you're depending on merch cuts and ticket sales, you're already losing the battle. So we have to think of other ways to become more efficient, more productive to help keep doors open. So first one is some smarter business strategies, right? So what are some business strategies you can use to help build up your venue, keep doors open? The first one is outsource services to third parties. It doesn't exist a lot yet in the music industry, but there are some services. Not a I guess shameless plug, right? Not the reason I mentioned this one, but if you're looking for assistance on marketing, booking, financial management, right? Feel free to reach out, right? I'll drop my email in the description here. That's one of the services that we're offering now. It's also one of the services that a really good friend of mine offers, right? So there is services out there to help venues with marketing and booking. You can hire third-party companies for marketing resources. You can hire companies now to help you with booking. If you're a venue owner, you have to stay open 365 days a year, right? So to run a venue on its own, right? If you're running a club that doesn't do national touring shows, it's already really hard work to keep the doors open at that. And now you have to learn how to be a talent buyer and concert promoter. It's going to be really tough, right? And ideally, you either hire someone, but if you hire someone that really knows what they're doing, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Or you could find a third party company to help you with booking and marketing, right? And the great thing is, so there isn't a lot of companies yet in the music industry. There's definitely a handful that I've noticed along with us that are helping with these services. But a lot of people rely on like different marketing agencies to help with that, or they have a lot of independent promoters that work for their venue. But you're kind of always risking things a little bit when you work with like promoters you don't know, right? Because they may or may not give your venue a bad reputation, right? I just literally looked up someone over email the other day, and um, what it was the email said is we just started taking over booking for a venue in Orlando, right? It was a long time ago, and a promoter reached out, and I reached out to a promoter asking him to bring shows there again because he used to do a lot of shows there. And he said, "Yeah, the agent won't bring new shows there anymore because he says it's run by a bunch of thugs." And I was like, "Whoa! Like, what's no longer run by thugs for starters?" And so the whole, anyways, sidebar. But anyways, it's important to know who is running shows at your venue, right? Because if you have bad promoters running shows at your venues, and they also give your venue a bad reputation, right? It's better to use pros that know what they're doing. Like I said, the industry is changing. There's more and more of these services popping up. So you hire a marketing agency. A lot of times they'll take a commission on your marketing budget. So let's say you have $1,000 marketing budget, they'll take 10% off of that, right? But having services that are experts in the music industry, maybe they won't take a fee at all. Maybe they'll just participate on the upside, right? So if there is a profit at the end of the show, they'll participate in that versus charging you a retainer or a flat fee. So, that's one method. Utilize technology, right? So be creative with your venue. Like create some kind of area that can be limited seating, where you can upcharge, right? You can have upcharge in the price. It's an upgrade, create an experience. Maybe you have a dynamic ticket for those seats, right? People are bidding on those seats where the price gets goes up based on the algorithm and dynamic ticket pricing, or maybe you set it at a certain price and see um, what people will buy those tickets at for those better seats, right? Maybe it's a balcony seat, maybe it's a cool section with a really good view, but try to get more creative with that. If you've ever been to House of Blues in New Orleans, they still do it to this day. They were doing it when I was there. They did it at a show that I just had there with Cowboy Bebop Live. They still use that area they call Lead Belly that has high tops and chairs, and they use it as an upgraded experience where people pay more to have those seats, right? And for the venues, be careful because some tour managers and artists will try to come for the revenue that you get in those sales, right? Being on that side now, it was funny when I was at this venue called Vinyl Music Hall in Pensacola. They upsell the entire balcony, right? And part of me was like, they're not throwing those extra $5 because we're charging upgrades to go upstairs, right? And I was like, they're not throwing that into ticket price, but knowing the venue spot, knowing how that works, you're creating an upgraded experience. You agreed on what our capacity was. It was cool. Cool venue also if you're ever in the Florida Panhandle. Um, Other strategies. We talked about some smart business strategies, right? Utilizing technology, outsourcing services to third parties, some alternative venue models. Here is my thought on venues. I have always been an advocate of venues considering being a nonprofit organization instead of a for-profit because your margins, one, are already so slim, right, to operate. Um, and being a nonprofit opens you up to other revenue streams. For starters, why should your venue, right? So if you have a venue or you're looking to work in a venue, it does these pop-up nights, these things nights. Maybe there's an argument, okay, they're doing it because they're really in it for making as much money as possible, and they have to do these dance nights to survive, right? And nothing against dance nights at all. I totally get it. But if your goal, the reason you got into this is to just be a music venue that brings in live touring shows and live music, you're a curator of culture for your community, right? You bring amazing talent from different genres, to up and coming artists to legacy artists. Um, why not operate as a nonprofit? Because that's now going to open you up for some extra sponsorship money. You can get grant money out of that. You have tax benefits being a nonprofit, right? And then makes you focus a little bit more on some community um, outreach, community events, and having some things available for the community. But hey, you're in it because you love music, right? If you have some music programs for kids, or you teach college kids how to run shows, um, I promise you, if you're thinking, okay, now I'm gonna do like charitable stuff, you know what? The music industry is not not an industry to become rich. It's because we love music. And if you can now throw some purpose to that, besides just booking shows, but now you have purpose because you're doing something great for the community, I feel like that's a win-win, right? And then speaking of community, so alternative venue models, you should be engaging more with the community anyway, right? So if you look at the majority of venues out there, what they're posting on social media, they're so dependent on the base that the artist has, right? Then if the artists don't have fans, they a lot of times don't sell enough tickets, right? And if they don't sell enough tickets, and it's not really worth for them to bring that artist. But what about if you're the voice of your community for culture? You're the voice that brings in cool shows, right? And you become the trusted resource of of up and coming bands, right? So now you can develop artists and have more artists that can tour through your venue because you're developing up and coming acts, right? I've always thought that the promoter, the venue, is an extension of the artist management and development arm, right? Because if you have a good partnership with management and the artist, and you're working together to really promote those artists properly, you are helping develop artists in your area, right? So I feel like it's important for managers and promoters to always have a good working relationship to help develop artists. And if you become that voice for the community, for culture, and for bringing art, and for bringing really cool bands, like who's the most trusted source that you learn new artists from? Like, people love to discover new talent, right? And a lot of times they discover a new talent from a recommendation from a friend, right? So why not model your venue in a way that you become a friend of the community by doing stuff for local businesses, doing local community events, doing youth programs, and doing things for special interest groups in your community, right? And it brings some more diverse audiences to your venue. And now when you post about a new, really cool artist that you're excited about as a venue, maybe more people will pay attention, right? And maybe when an artist that sells 100 tickets around the country comes to your 3, 4, 500 capacity venue, maybe you sell a few more tickets because you have such a strong bond with the community and you're a trusted voice for the community, right? So something to look into as well for alternative venue models. Now, next point is expanding revenue streams. Um, so having other streams of revenue. As a friend of mine that runs venues in New Orleans, taught, maybe mentor at that point, taught me that key to financial success in life is to have multiple revenue streams, right? And that's so true for venues because we so rely on just ticket sales and F&B sales, the two main revenue streams. But with alcohol sales being down, ticket sales being down, right? What else can we do to bring in extra revenue? And one of the ideas that I had is like having partnerships, right? Not every artist is going to go for it, but maybe there's some exclusive merch that you can create, limited edition posters for your show, maybe limited edition hats. Right? Maybe there's a really cool hat maker in your area, or maybe a really cool vinyl printer or presser in your area, right? Maybe there's someone in your community that does something really cool that has to do with merchandise. Maybe there's a partnership you can create with the artist. We have a limited edition of that merchandise, and there's maybe some part uh, shared revenue stream for both you and the artist. So not only are you looking for ways to bring in more money for you, but you're also looking to bring in more money for the artist, right? We sell these posters, cost comes off the top, but we'll cover the cost from our share, and it's a 50-50 split or 60-40 split, whatever you want to do, however the economics work out for you, right? That's so partner with local merch companies and vendors to create some cool, unique, branded local merch for artists. And I think some artists will definitely go for that, especially in that smaller scale. If you're in that smaller venue capacity range, 500 inch to maybe 2,000, I feel like a lot of artists that work with you will go for that. Food and beverage upgrades, right? So having upgrades with tickets, or maybe having packages with food and beverage at your venue available as well. That could be another alternative revenue stream. Also, take care of your venue, keep it really nice, make it appealing and attractive for people to come to, and rent out your venue. Rent it out for private events, weddings, corporate gatherings. There's all kinds of things you can rent out your venue out for. Right? Have a salesperson on your staff whose job is just to rent out the venue for opportunities. When there's a reason why speaks a lot of experience with Live Nation. There's a reason that they have a sales team at their venue. They're renting out House of Blues and Brooklyn Bowl and all these different right? All the different venues they have. There's a reason when I was at AEG that they had a corporate salesperson on their team that just handled corporate events because that's a giant revenue stream. I mean, you're talking about 500 person club. You're doing one private party. Let's say an average concert brings in anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000 to do one private party. That one private party can bring in $10,000 to $20,000, but if not more, what it is. So I would really encourage venues to work on having that sales arm to really figure out a way to bring in more money for your venue. Even if you host meetings, right? Maybe you're in a cool location in downtown. Maybe your venue has a really cool vibe for meetings. You have extra tables for meetings, and maybe you host meetings at your venue through the day. And now you're making more revenue. Yes, it's a little more work, but the revenue should be worthwhile, especially if you price it the right way. And really, if you price it the right way, your corporate events should be bringing in more money than most of your tours. And then content creation, right? So there's another alternative revenue stream or expanding revenue streams. Again, you're a curator for culture in your community. You're a voice for your community. Why not, if you figure out a creative way to create a podcast or YouTube channel that can bring in sponsorships to that, maybe if it picks up enough, it's popular enough, maybe brings a little bit of money there. I wouldn't rely on that as a revenue stream, but maybe the sponsorships you can bring in through that, right? Because the thing to look at, you might be thinking, but I need like millions of streams or millions of views to get sponsorships. That's not true. You need quality, right? Quality in a niche area. If you're going to be located in a city, if you have views on an average video or 10,000 streams downloads on an average podcast, I mean, chances are very high that all of those people come from one area or within the area of the venue or really with that. And there's a higher chance of bringing in local sponsors, right? Or if there's a partnership, you can now do sponsors. So we're not as sorry, wheels are turning now. But if you have your nonprofit, right? What we did a lot at Dr. Phillips Center was we would have companies sponsor a series, right? So a jazz series. If you have questions about sponsorships, let me know how that needs to be listed on your venues, right? You got to be careful with not confusing the audience and that sponsor is sponsoring this specific show, but having them sponsor is a series or support a series, right? It's just gotta be careful your wording there so the artist doesn't start thinking, oh, we're gonna try to take some of that sponsorship money because you're saying our show is sponsored by this company. Right? So just be careful the wording. But if you have companies come in, they sponsor a series and they sponsor your YouTube channel now for the month or whatever. There's so many more opportunities, right? We think of sponsor proposal and at the different check marks at the different levels. Like maybe a level could be one show, right, and a couple other things they get with that, and then it could be a series of shows and a couple things they get with that, and a series of shows and YouTube channel, right? Just another thing you can throw into your at a glance section on a sponsorship kit to make your sponsorships a lot more appealing and attractive. I'm trying to run through these last ones. This video is running long. Another thing you can do is cutting costs, right, and maximizing efficiency. So looking at more energy efficient solutions for your venue. For starters, if you have stage lighting, look at in the LED stage lighting. That'll definitely help lower the power bill. If you are have any outdoor exterior lighting, right, maybe look at LED or solar alternatives for outdoor lighting. Rechargeable batteries for microphones, right, instead of disposable batteries. That can help save some cost there as well. Share resources with other venues, right? Maybe there's other venues in your area that you can collaborate with, and some resources of equipment, gear that you can share expenses with. I know a lot of times it's competitive with other venues because you're competing for the same shows. Maybe there's different types of venues that have some of the same equipment, but maybe there can be some shared equipment that you have with venues. If you're renting backline a lot, right? Maybe there's 2 or 3 venues that can partner together to buy some backline that they now share together, right? Think about annual crowdfunding campaigns, apply for grants, right? And this next one, so this final one, kind of falls on the expanding revenue streams, but I kind of separated this last one, is having a membership models, right? So have a membership model for your venue and a fan loyalty program where you now sell memberships for your venue, right? Where any nonprofit theater is really good at that, where they have, I don't know, different. Now you have donors too, right? So instead of having just sponsors and grants and things like that, donors, right, or memberships, right? So maybe $100 a year is a membership, 250 or 500 a year, whatever, however you want to model it, is a membership plus you get access to something else. And then the next step is 2,500 a year plus, gets you something else. Just look at some different theaters around the country, the smaller theaters, and see the different levels of membership they offer for their donors, and look at those different models and come up with a creative model for your small club and your small venue. Again, it doesn't have to be a theater to have a membership model. You can do it as your rock club, your hip hop club, your EDM club. But if you're a venue that brings in touring artists, and ideally, if you're a venue, if you're going to thrive, it should be a diverse collection of music, right? This shouldn't be just, or curation of music. It shouldn't just be one genre you're focused on. But if you're focused on multiple different genres, I think being a nonprofit and offering memberships and having donors and grants and all these other things just opens up to so many other things. But these can also still be done, right? There's no rule or law saying you can't have memberships if you're not a nonprofit. So you can still have memberships even as a for-profit company, and you just got to get creative on the different levels and packages you offer. But bottom line, right? So venues, we talked about in the last video about weathering the storm of Q2 and Q3 of 2025. You can definitely weather that storm, being a little more creative with revenue streams and cost structure and all that. But Q4 should really, really good for you. And regardless, look at these potential solutions, right? Look at these potential solutions that run better as a venue, more efficient, increase revenue streams, increase your quality of life, right? If you outsource some things, maybe it's less time that you have to work at the venue and spend with the venue, and spend more time with the family, loved ones, friends, people you care about. So if you run a venue or you love live music, drop your thoughts in the comments. How do you think venues should adapt in this current economy and state? And regardless of when you watch this in the future, right? I feel like a lot of these things will apply to venues or running a venue regardless. So let me know where you are in the future, and let me know your thoughts on how some of these things apply, and if you have implemented some of these strategies. So thank you all for watching. Until next time, spread love, positivity, and kindness in the world. Peace, my friends.